One of my favorite things to do here on LGR is revisit computer hardware that, for a brief point in time, was absolutely the most exciting new category around. Yet, due to rapid technological progress, became entirely outdated in just a couple or few years, and analog video capture devices certainly fit the bill. I don't mean in general, but specifically the parallel port models from the late 90s that sat between your printer and your PC. For a few short years, these made total sense, but by 2001, they were fully replaced with USB capture dongles. And it's those that I first started with on LGR, recording my episodes on VHS and capturing over composite. But video capture over the printer port, now that's something I've never experienced. And that brings us to the Dazzle Multimedia Dazzle with its dazzling logo. Yes, it's amazing. You just plug it into the back of your PC or wherever your parallel port happens to be, and you can record and edit video and audio, play it back in full screen, 30 frames per second with high-res snapshots and video and email conferencing. Oh my goodness. This is something that was introduced in late 1997, with this particular unit having come out in 1998, and it cost $300 US when it first hit the market. Around double that, accounting for inflation, although it soon went down to about $200 by the time it started gaining traction in early 1998. And while this one does require the use of the parallel printer port, Dazzle Multimedia also released the Snazzy in '97, which did the same things as the Dazzle, just on a PCI card, with a different chipset that captured audio in addition to video, and it's more expensive too. And yeah, well, they were known as Dazzle Multimedia by the time this came out. They were originally known as LA Vision when they were founded in June of 1996. Hence why you'll see that in a lot of the marketing and also the model name LAV1000. And while all their products were fascinating, it's mainly the Dazzle in this version because of that printer port. It's from an odd and very brief point in time, just a couple or few years really, in between the earlier ISA card capture boards and before USB capture devices came out. And instead there were a slew of them using the parallel printer port to capture video, something PC Magazine called the dawn of the new video age. With the Dazzle Multimedia Dazzle maybe being the most popular one, and this one is here thanks to a very kind donation from LGR viewer Ryan. He sent this in some years ago and I showed it in a donations video on LGR, but let's just get right to it. All kinds of stuff in here, starting with a lot of paperwork, so a registration card for iFilm Edit, as well as the device itself. Please help us help you. Read our debug instructions or call us when things go wrong. And then you also have this right here, which is a bit of an update to some information in the manual for version 2.11. So new MPEG features for audio and a multiplexer, better AV sync, that's good. Here is the software itself for version 2.11. And we also have a copy of Adobe Photo Deluxe 2. So yeah, this also had plenty of stuff built into it, reportedly $500 worth of software. It says disc 1, there is only one disc. I guess unless you count Photo Deluxe. Also have this lovely user's guide, around 60 pages of manual goodness going into, well, really all the detail you need. It's pretty comprehensive. We have a parallel port cable there, so it goes between the device and your computer. So this should, yeah, it's gotta be the power supply. 13 watt, 5 volt, 1 amp DC power. Got a few cables here, so audio, RCA male connector to 3.5 mil. This does need to plug into your sound card. It will not capture audio on its own. A couple options for video. So we have an S-video cable and RCA composite video, and either one of those will go in to the device itself. We got a couple of different ports, really a few. So S-video in right there, composite video in, as well as out to your TV. There's the printer pass-through if you have a printer, and then this end plugs into your computer with that cable there. And then, yeah, that's all you got. And it's a pretty unassuming gray plastic thingamajig, but it is what's on the inside that counts. And to take it apart, I'm using the new E2 Ultra Precision screwdriver from Fantic, this video's sponsor. Now, I've used their screwdrivers long before they became a sponsor. The E1 Max was already awesome. But the Fantic E2 Ultra here is on another level, with that aluminum alloy casing and pop-out mechanism that's always satisfying, and this rotating storage bay that magnetically holds in place 50 different S2 steel bits, along with a pry tool and ESD-safe tweezers I find myself using for all kinds of projects. And the screwdriver itself is even more capable now, with its larger 800 mAh battery charging via USB-C and lasting over twice as long as the E1 did. And in addition to the LED flashlight, there's also this light bar showing its 5 torque settings with up to 270 RPM at 0.6 Newton meters of torque. The Fantic is currently running a big Prime Day sale, so to get the E2 Ultra at a discount, follow the link in the description, click the Amazon coupon checkbox on the page, and use my code LGRE2 Ultra for a total of 35% off. And there we go, it is this sandwich of boards that makes this whole thing possible, with the biggest one being this C-Cube Microsystems Video RISC Processor chip, the CL4020, an MPEG-1 encoder, and all of its accompanying ICs. I've seen elsewhere it's known as the CLM4111, and it's not at all their first MPEG-1 video decoder. That went all the way back to 1991, and yeah, it was C-Cube that was claimed to have made the world's first single-chip MPEG-1 decoder-encoder solution, with this one here being a good few generations later. And yeah, these ended up in all kinds of different devices. Look at that, you can see all that memory back there. NEC 424 260-60s at 256K each, I believe. We also have this Altera Flex, an 8000 series FPGA, combining all kinds of handy things, I'm sure, for a capture device. And again, this is all crammed in a housing that plugs into your printer port. I just think this kind of stuff is awesome. You know, for whatever reason, this kind of solution is just way more fascinating and potentially enjoyable to use than a PCI version, which, yeah, their snazzy had all the same chips, just on a card. And yeah, all back together, it's quite a neat solution indeed, and you can see why Dazzle Multimedia was all proud of it and happy to show it off in advertising like this delightfully late 90s promo material. Check this out.
LA Vision presents its 2 new stars of desktop video, the Snazzy and Dazzle. They're the next generation of personal video accessories for your PC and VCR. As the world's first digital adapter for your camcorder and other video sources, the Snazzy and Dazzle let you capture and record full-screen video and sound using the state-of-the-art Windows 95 MPEG-1 standard.
I love the energy there, and you know, just the excitement for capture devices in general. It was definitely not just the Dazzle. For instance, the iOmega Buzz was a competitor. It only cost $200 and came with its own SCSI controller card to use with it, and not parallel. But that captured and compressed using Zoran's Motion JPEG. Definitely an inferior solution compared to MPEG-1. Another main competitor was the FutureTel Video Sphinx, and that was also an MPEG-1 parallel port capture device. Although it didn't feature a printer pass-through, EPP mode was unsupported, and no video preview or real-time conferencing was supported, like the Dazzle could do, something the company was happy to point out. Like, they were just straight up taking dumps on their competitors on their website in '98. I mean, they had an entire page dedicated to charting out the differences between them, and Dazzle actually offered a trade-up program, in quotes, for those other devices and get a Dazzle instead. How ballsy. Of course, it wasn't long before there were some serious competitors like the ArcSoft ZipShot and the AverMedia MPEG Wizard. And yeah, the Wizard, along with the Videonics Python, among other competitors, used the same C-Cube MPEG chip that made it all possible. So they all captured video over the parallel port in the same basic way. But of all the companies in the late 90s doing external capture devices, Dazzle was one of the few that thrived, just judging by how many are still available on the used market and how many models there are that continue to this day. In fact, as far as I can tell, they still make and definitely sell USB Dazzle capture devices. Now primarily under the Corel brand, which is actually a Ludo, I think, but Yeah, various Dazzle things have existed for decades and they continue to, but this is LGR and it's the late 90s stuff we're interested in, so let's get this thing hooked up and try it out on Windows 98. Yeah, simple enough on the hardware side, just plugging in the parallel port cable. Not gonna worry about printer pass-through because I'm not messing with the printer. And our RCA audio to 3.5 mil, just going into the line in on the sound card. And yeah, composite video from our VCR to video in and power. And that's that. It's ready to go, except for software. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get the software going and we'll be back. Okay, Windows 98 going on the LGR Megaluminum Monster PC and the software. All this is installed and the CD backed up on archive.org. But yeah, everything went just fine, no issues at all. And of course it's not going to show up in here because it's just over the parallel port. And I do have it set to EPP mode, even though it's not saying it for some reason, but that's what it's configured to be as outlined in the manual. They're like ECP, EPP, or both. You cannot use standard parallel port or bidirectional mode. So we're not going to, because we have a need for parallel port speed. And that is something that we do here in the Amigo software from Dazzle. And yeah, it's version 2.11a in this case from 1998. And this is really simple, but also very familiar capture device stuff. So we can choose our video input source, either composite or S-video. We've got it hooked up to composite to the VCR. You can also choose TV, DVD, or Laserdisc, camera. I don't really know if this changes much of anything, honestly, because they're all going over the same interface. We got our different video standards, NTSC, PAL, or CCAM, pixel type, rectangular, or square, and just saving to the documents. And that is pretty much it. Everything else is just getting photos and videos from whatever device you have plugged in. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me get the VCR turned on over there. And I'll go into recorder mode, initializing MPEG capture. So yeah, that gets the internal chip doing its thing. It's all powering on and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, there we go. We can see the blue of the VCR. In fact, I don't have anything in there at the moment, do I? So let's choose a nice tape for ourselves. So this is a previous LGR project, a future LGR project, current and all-time favorite, and some childhood trauma. Yeesh. Anyway, we're gonna go with the favorite because the Matrix is sweet. Some jerk wasn't kind enough to rewind. Yeah, glad this VCR given to me by my friend Billy Core survived the hurricane. It's a little scuffed up, but still works great, even though a roof fell on it. And we have some options here in the record mode. So we can do video and audio, just audio as an MPEG or as a WAV, and then the different video, basically compression settings and all that. So SIF size, there's different sizes or whatever for your, your different formats for around the world. 352 by 240, I have it set to that because, that's what you get when you have it set to rectangular, so you get a little bit more resolution, mainly for burning to video CD. And QSIF is 176 by 120 for NTSC. I'm setting it to high because we can. And then duration, just put in anything you want. You can stop it at any time. Defaults though to just 10 seconds. And there is no setting for interlaced video handling or any information on that in the manual, so whatever deinterlacing is happening is automatic. I don't know if it's selecting certain field dominance or combining fields into frames or what, but it's doing something. So yeah, 44 kilohertz stereo, 3 megabits. Pretty good for parallel, right? Assuming that it does decently. So just hit and play over there and get that going. And so the first thing you'll notice is the choppiness. This is not smooth video as a preview. So this is really not good for like capturing gameplay, at least unless you use the pass-through, of course.
West. Jim West.
And that is something that's going to be happening no matter what through here, because you do not get real-time or full speed, full motion previews. This is actually still pretty good, I think, for over a parallel port, but that's as much as you get. So if you want to see it actually in the proper speed and everything, so you have to hit record. So we'll go ahead and do that. And it is now recording. Just putting it into some kind of buffer somewhere, and MPEG encoder is doing its thing inside of the Dazzle powered by the wall and going through the printer port. It's awesome. I love seeing this kind of thing do its thing. All right, so let's hit stop and also hit stop on the tape. Actually, I meant to show the adjustments as well. Yeah, let me hit play again, I guess. So if you do this, then you do get some almost real-time adjustments. It's, yeah, a little bit delayed, but anyway, brightness, contrast, saturation, and tint. It's pretty much what you'd expect. And it's fine. I prefer to adjust things in post, but it was definitely something that made more sense here, I think, to do it beforehand, because doing anything in post is a pain. We'll save that as something. And there we go. Nice, we have something on the desktop.
Wild Wild West, available now.
And you can see we have the full speed, frame rate, quality, clarity, all that. It's kind of great, if you ask me. Like, that's better quality than I've gotten from some of my own composite capture devices over USB in like the mid-2000s.
The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Don't go there, girlfriend.
Rated PG-13.
Stay tuned after the movie for a special behind-the-scenes look at the making of The Matrix.
So while it does extremely well with shorter clips like this, it is very inconsistent the longer you go, and also depending on what you're capturing. So for instance, I was trying to capture this right here, Off-Road Wars, real four-wheel in action, which is pretty much just a bunch of Minnesota rednecks with 1,000 horsepower trucks going around in the mud and being bonkers. It's kind of great, actually, but unfortunately, the tracking is really bad. The tape is kind of messed up, and you know, even after cleaning VCR and just getting as good a quality as I could, there were still major issues with the tracking. So I was getting this kind of jittering going on, but even bigger of a problem was the audio desync. And so after about 20-25 minutes, the audio is like 10 to 12 seconds off. It's really bad.
Society and find the old maps of areas around 1910 and then trace out where the roads used to go. They've got maps that go back about every 10 years. And
so, I mean, that's like 12 seconds, 15 seconds off. So there's that first lady talking now. It's really, really bad. And so I imagine maybe that has to do with it just not knowing what to synchronize in terms of the tracking being so bad or something, because I was also capturing some PlayStation 2 footage here for like 36 minutes. And this stayed synchronized and didn't get jittery the whole way through. So here's like 22 minutes in, 28 minutes in, all the way here to like 36 minutes. And it's still synchronized, as far as I can tell, just as it should be. Didn't get messed up at all. So it does seem to depend somewhat on the source that you're giving it, which makes sense. But at the same time, there's also, a fair bit of encoder glitchiness, corruption, whatever that is going on. And that seems to be no matter what I record, no matter how long. I mean, there was even some of that in like that minute-long footage we got of like Austin Powers trailers. So it's inconsistent at best, but overall still really good for what it is. Heck, I've had worse results on certain cheap USB capture devices in the mid-2000s. And as an example of how bad it is for gameplay capture, not only is the frame rate awful, but of course, the lag is really not good. It's also not the very worst either, again, considering this is going over parallel.
Welcome to the practice arena.
But yeah, obviously you would want to use a pass-through, and that is what the pass-through on there is for. And really, there's not a whole lot more in here. It's mainly just recording to MPEG, but we also have this camera mode, which, I mean, it's the same kind of thing, except it doesn't have you saving video, it's saving bitmaps. So in this case, yeah, 320, or actually, no, we can go some crazy sizes. I guess it'll just upscale it. Interesting. Huh, these might have something to do with interlacing. Moving scenes still seen, high quality still, highest quality still. Wish this was a Laserdisc, we could get a high quality still, but we'll try here in a VCR. So, that's actually not too bad. Snapshot that, and I'm assuming it's doing something. Oh my goodness, yeah, I'll say. Wow, huh. Well, all right, that's pretty fantastic. So that's a whole 1600 by 1200. That's awesome. We also have this player, which is just a built-in video player and kind of a bad one. I mean, it's fine, but it doesn't let you go full screen or anything. Doesn't look like, well, never mind, it does. Anyway, it's still kind of not great. Whatever, lets you email things if you want to, yeah, put that through Outlook, I guess. And I really think that is it. But you know, it's enough. It's more than enough for this kind of thing in 1997, 98. Like, this is awesome. This is so much better than even I thought it would be, even though I've used very similar kind of things like this in the past, but this is great. Like, I really did not expect it to be so smooth and so honestly really good quality for what it is. I mean, yeah, I would have like no complaints with this back in the day. Again, assuming that it worked as well on a computer from 97, 98. This is definitely a bit more capable. It's more like something from 2000, 2001. So we'll let these previews capture and we'll mess around with some of the software that came with, because why the heck not? Oh man, a soundtrack ad. So that's the capturing for video and pictures and stuff. So what else can you do with this? Well, it did come with some other software and some things to try out. So we're gonna start with Synax iFilm Edit from early 98. Yeah, this is a video editor that doesn't have a timeline or anything. It's pretty much a digital version of a physical editing deck with a couple of VTRs. Even more simple than that. It's really simplistic, but of course it did come with it for free. Yeah, I just got the previews from the Matrix VHS here, and all this we can mess around with and turn it into another video, either by just cropping it down. So like, say all I want is this end part here of the Wild Wild West trailer.
Wild Wild West.
Like that. So we can just kind of start back here and do right about there. We'll do a mark in.
Wild Wild West.
That's enough. And then mark out. And then we, on the recorder side, hit either preview or record.
Wild Wild West.
So there's a little clip, and we'll do record, and then now we have that.
Wild Wild West.
Oh, Wild Wild West. And then that's it. So if you want to save it as an individual little file, you can. So we'll just close this one, and then now we have that
Wild Wild West.
one little clip. And we can do whatever we want to with it in terms of just keeping it like a small little thing to, I don't know, you email that to somebody, let them know about
Wild Wild West.
Yes. We'll go back here and then get another clip from just Austin Powers preview. We'll do right there.
Powers, the spy who shagged me.
Don't go there, girlfriend.
It's not very precise.
The spy who shagged me.
Don't go there, girlfriend.
Yes, whatever. Close enough, I guess. And we'll record that. Save that as another file. And we'll just go over here real quick and, I don't know, start right there and do that. And make sure to close this, hit record. There's that. We have a few clips. So let's just say we'll make a movie of these in different order. So we got the Austin Powers clip. We'll hit record over here and then mark the end point as the out. And then close this, get our Wild Wild West. And then that will add onto that. So now we have Austin Powers, then the Wild Wild West clip, and then mark that as the out. Close this, open this. And yeah, if you do any of these things out of order, it will crash the program. It's wonderful. But yeah, now we have a video.
The spy who shagged me.
Don't go there, girlfriend.
Wild Wild West.
Perfect. And we can save that. And we have a neat video file.
The spy who shagged me.
Amazing. Like I said, if you do any of these things out of order, like I'll put this here, and then like say I want to go and I want another clip right over here, and we'll do mark in and out there, and then go to the end and mark that out, and then just add that on. Nope. Look at this. Doesn't know what to do with it because you did things out of order. It's kind of a crappy program, but I guess it did the job better than nothing. We also have a video phone, which I don't think we can actually use at all here. Well, yeah. Software will expire in 1998. Yeah, I think if I put it back to 1998, I discovered that it will still open. Yeah, so that works. But anyway, it's just a video conferencing type of thing. Like if you had a camera hooked up to this, then I guess you could make some online calls with video. I'm actually not entirely sure because that's not something that I can really test here. Computer's not networked, and even if it was, it's not like I'd have anybody to call. 7 frames per second at most, apparently. So that's interesting. So let me hit play on the VHS over there, and yeah, that's still going. Not recommended more than 5 frames a second? Sure, whatever. Cool. So if I was online connected to somebody, I guess we could video conference the Matrix. Take a picture of myself. There we go. Perfect. My picture is Trinity's hands. Video calling in early 1998. That would be pretty sweet. I might try to see if I can get that working over a network sometime, because it looks like it could do that. We also have a copy of VideoSaver, or VideoSaver Pro, and it's just a screensaver. But it plays video clips, and not just the ones that you record yourself, but it also came with a bunch of them. So we can like select our little video we put together earlier of those random clips. And then now we'll put that in the rotation right before this Star Trek First Contact clip. And we got a cityscape and yeah, just a bunch of B-roll actually. It's kind of cool. I wish I could find some of these packs. I've been looking around online to see if they are available, but I don't know, I just haven't found them yet, but play them randomly or in order with audio. Let's do it with audio in order. Phenomenal. So the stuff that it comes with, like I said, I've been trying to find some of the other packs, like the full versions of them or whatever, archived, but so far no luck. I'm gonna drop the remote there for the VCR, see if it'll play our clip next. There it is, yeah. I mean, it's pretty neat that we just grabbed that from a VCR over the printer port. And why did it stop there? It doesn't stop when I hit the mouse or anything, but all right. Well, anyway, the Star Trek clip. Honestly, the quality is pretty great.
I am the Futus of Borg. Resistance is futile.
Indeed. Let's see what this Generations clip is. All right. I mean, you know, just little clips, little thingies here and there to put on your screen to save it. And the last thing here is good old Kai's Power Goo. I got an entire video all about this if you want to see the history of it. It's some silliness. Now, it does need a Twain source, like a scanner, camera, or whatever, to directly get an image captured within the program. But you can, well, it comes with a bunch of stuff, but you can also just open up your own that you've captured yourself. So let's go ahead and find ours. Actually, that image we captured is quite large, so it did also come with Adobe Photo Deluxe 2, so let's use that, resize that really quick. Oh man, all these classic 90s effects. That's not really what I'm looking to do here, but they are rather amusing. Oh geez. Yeah. Anyway, what are we looking for? Something size. Yeah, I just want to make it like that. JPEG export. There we go. Let's see here what we want to. Yeah, we go. Perfect. And then, yeah, we have our delightful creation here, and we can plop that in place, and there we go. The state of the art in 90s image manipulation and motion graphics. Power Goo. I used to have so much fun with this as a kid. It's simplistic nowadays, but yeah, it's really cool that it came with it for free. And you know, just in general, this is such a cool device for late 97, early 98 when you could first get a hold of it. You know, the magic of that MPEG-1 chip and that kind of encoding, and yeah, 133 megahertz Pentium with 32 megs of RAM. I would like to actually try this on that kind of a system. If I had one accessible, I totally would, but unfortunately at the moment I don't, due to extenuating circumstances in life. But yeah, let me know if you've ever used one of these Dazzle devices, especially the older ones like this, what your experiences were, what kind of system you were running it on, what you were using it for. I'm interested to know. But also the newer ones. I know people that swear by the newer Dazzle devices, the USB ones for capturing analog interlaced video. But yeah, that really is it for this episode of LGR. And if you like this kind of thing, diving into the mid to late 90s and hardware and software and computers, then you're in the right place. And there's always more videos in the works for the future. So hope you stick around. And as always, thanks for watching.